Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Welcome to the West Texas View. I'm Johnny Lou Avery, and it's a real treat today to introduce to you two women who have had several babies between them, and they have used midwife services. And last week you met two midwives from the Motherly Services company that operates out in the Permian Basin. And Leslie Ryden has 4 children, and her last one was born in February, and she used the midwife services that we talked about last week. And then Crystal Tompkins has 3 children, and she has used a midwife with 2 of the children. So I am really pleased to talk with you and get more information directly from a mother who has gone through this. And Leslie, let's start with you, and you talk a little bit about your experience and how you got down this path.
Okay. I had my first child 7 years ago in a hospital, epidural, regular hospital birth. I was in labor for about 27 and a half hours. So it was kind of a hard labor, but I didn't know any better. She was my first. But they kind of warned me that when I got pregnant with my second right away, that he would probably be a C-section because he was going to be bigger and he was going to be a boy, and I'd had a hard time with my first. So my second child was born via emergency C-section after I had been induced. So I had a regular hospital birth, then an emergency C-section. So with my third baby, I really didn't know that I had any other options except just to schedule a C-section. So my third child was just a scheduled C-section, just a scheduled surgery, just checked into the hospital and had a scheduled surgery and went home with the baby. So when I got pregnant with my fourth, I desperately did not want to have that experience again. I didn't want to have a C-section, but I felt helpless. I didn't know that there was another option. When I found out that there was, I went and visited the Motherly Way Maternity Services with Kelly and Shauna, and they assessed me because I was a higher risk after having 2 C-sections to have a VBAC, especially having a VBAC at the at the birth center instead of a hospital was risky, everyone thought, my husband included, my doctor included, everybody included, but I felt real passionately that that is what the Lord had for me. And so
because a lot of people, when they don't know about something, they say, let's don't do that.
And that is what I found to be true. I found to be true that everybody just assumed that that was an impossibility, and I had to do a lot of work for my family, for my husband, a lot of research, a lot of books presented so they could see and feel good.
And talk to other mothers.
Absolutely. And we met with Kelly and Shauna at the birth center. I brought my husband with me, and they made it very clear that their #1 priority was a healthy mom and a healthy baby, no matter what. So if there had been complications, they would have obviously transferred me, but there wasn't. And so I had my 4th baby about 9 months ago at the birth center, and he was a healthy 10-pound, 11-ounce baby boy, all naturally VBAC. So
did you do water birth?
I didn't. I never got in the tub. I couldn't quite get there. Once labor started, I sort of just stayed put, but it was...
But tell me now why you did it at the birth center rather than at your home.
Because I have 3 children that were at home. I had 3 little ones that were at home, and so my mom was there with them, and I could just go to the birth center, which is lovely.
Just like being home.
It is. It's a house. It's comfortable. There's a living room. A bunch of my friends were in the living room praying for me while I was going through labor, and so I didn't have to worry about my kiddos. Really, was the reason that I wanted to be somewhere where I didn't have to think about that. So it was great.
So now you've got 4 children, and you're very happy, and if you decide to have another one, you're going to do the same thing.
Absolutely. If I decide to have another one, which I'm thinking that we're good with 4, but if I decide to have another one, I wouldn't do it any other way, for sure.
Well, we're gonna ask you some more questions, but I want to get now to Crystal, and you're pregnant right now,
yes.
So you're again going through this birth, but tell us your background.
Okay. Well, I guess when I was pregnant with my first baby, really what spurred the whole thing was a family reunion. I talked to a couple of my cousins that had had their babies without an epidural in the hospital using the Bradley method, which you can get that up there. It's kind of like Lamaze, but it's Bradley. It focuses more on natural. And down here, you can't find that really. And so I bought a book, and this author just happened to really push home births. And so we were going to a doctor at first. And one day when we were at the doctor's office waiting, we'd been there for about an hour waiting in the waiting room. And my husband was like, I'm going to go ahead and just Google, see if there is a midwife around here. And so he Googled it on his phone, and we called her, and we set an appointment that day for like a couple hours, after the doctor's appointment. And we went straight there, and we just fell in love with the whole process. So.
And you never had any problems. And you have 3 babies.
Well, I have 2 and 1 on the way.
1 on the way.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So all 3 of yours then essentially
are
were
going to be
midwife.
Yes, they're all
assisted.
Midwife. Yes.
And so what? Did you have a lot of people trying to talk you out of it?
I definitely had some people very concerned, definitely. But my husband's very supportive, and we both read a couple books, and we just kind of fell in love with the idea. We loved all of our appointments and everything, and so
it felt like you were better prepared for the baby.
Yes, and it was just a better fit for me.
And so tell me, did you have it at the birth center, or did you have it at home?
I had my first one at home, actually. So I had my first one in Andrews, Texas.
So what will you do with this one?
This one's going to be at the clinic. My second one I had with Motherly Way Maternity Services at their clinic, and mainly for the same reason as you.
Too much
somebody
going on.
Somebody was watching my baby at home. He could sleep in his bed, and he was young. He was young. He was still a baby himself, basically. So I just didn't have to worry about him.
So you live in Andrews, and
right.
you come here for your appointments.
Yes.
And then when you get at a certain point, the midwives will come to you.
They can.
And then you'll come here when you get ready to have the baby. And you live here
in Midland
immediate area. So that's interesting, because she had said that their geographic area they covered the whole Permian Basin.
Oh yeah.
And so what has been, and I'll ask this to both of you, what has been the most interesting part of this? Is it the learning process, or is it the wonderful bonding you had with the baby from the beginning, or what? We're going to have to take a break, so think about that for a minute. We'll come back. We'll be right back. See you in just a second.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.